everyone. Hi, this is your host Yashasvi, and today we will be talking about the feeling of anxiousness. As you all know, in today's era, people are doing a lot of work, and for that, keeping your mental health in a better state is important more than ever. We are doing studies, jobs, and household work, and each of these works can be done with ease only, with good mental health. Otherwise, everything will seems difficult to do. And one of the feeling, as we have discussed, is the feeling of anxiousness, which put us at unease position. So we will be today talking about how to manage the feeling of anxiousness with Ashima Bharadwaj, who is a counseling psychologist by profession. So hi Ashima, how are you?
Hi Yashasvi, I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm great too. So like how's life going on with you? Like आजकल कैसा चल रहा है सब कुछ?
बहुत chilly है आजकल. It's very cold and just trying to get like sail through the weather as easily as possible. But yes, it is very cold and yeah.
I can understand. Like it's too cold in Delhi too. So you are currently in Jodhpur, right?
Yes, I'm residing in Jodhpur currently.
Okay, great. And you have done your studies like from where, like Jodhpur only or somewhere else?
No, so like due to my father's profession, I have been like in different areas of my life. I've been traveling throughout the parts of India. So I have completed my education from different parts of the country. Like I completed my schooling from Mumbai, and then I completed my graduation and master's from Delhi. So it has been quite a lot of scattered, but yes.
So your father was in defense or something?
Yeah, he's serving in defense.
Okay, he's currently serving also.
Yeah, he's serving right
Wow,
now.
great, nice. So, Ashima, what made you talk about this topic of feeling of anxiousness?
Yeah. So I believe every emotion is very important, and as important as it is, the discomfort that some of the emotions bring along is something that we are not trained or taught how to deal with it, right? And one of the most common and natural experience that we have is of anxiousness, right? And most of the time what happens is that this feeling of anxiousness and all the other things that we are feeling under root, we club it together and give an umbrella term of anxiety, right? So anxiety is something that we usually are very much familiar with, whether or not we are from psychology background, but we have heard this term a lot, but very few actually know what anxiety is, right? And anxiety and anxiousness are two different things, right? But we usually in our normal conversation um, talk about it in a way that it seems like one, right?
I also had this confusion, like when you said this anxiety and anxiousness is different terms, and I was like, how it is like that. I don't know, when they come to pushte hai, like what's a better place to ask? So
Yeah.
please go ahead and tell the difference. Like, what is the difference between anxiety and the feeling of anxiousness?
Right. So anxiety is something that we talk about from a disordered lens, like disordered
Okay.
spectrum, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it is something that would include under it, that it would include many different areas. Like there is a general anxiety disorder, social anxiety, there is intense phobias, and all those feelings of fear and like which is intense and persistent for a particular duration of time that we term it as an anxiety disorder, right?
Okay.
So anxiety is usually on the disordered spectrum that would include medications along with the therapeutic tips and tricks that goes around,
Okay.
right? And what this feeling of anxiousness is about is something that we normally feel in our day-to-day life, right? Like feeling nervous, like another term for anxiousness is nervousness that we feel. right?
Okay.
And how we feel it in our body is like our heartbeats raise, right? We have a very fast heartbeat. Our breathing pattern is irregular, and mostly it is heavy breathing that we experience. Another thing that we experience is the sweaty palms, sometimes the
Okay.
shake in our body, right? And these are the symptoms which are very similar to the anxiety, right? So symptoms are very much similar, but what is the difference is the intensity and the duration of these symptoms persisting in our body,
Okay.
right? So if these symptoms persist for a longer time, right? Say for example about a week or two, and sometimes there is no even, but like these feelings become a part of our daily life, right? Whether or not we have something coming, or whether or not there is a challenge or something, we experience these feelings irrespective of these,
Okay.
right? So this is something that is under the anxiety, which is on a disordered spectrum, right?
Okay.
But anxiousness is something that we feel like, suppose there is an exam tomorrow.
Yeah, correct.
So I would be feeling like all jittery and all those sweaty palms, and my heartbeat is racing with all the thoughts in my mind. Like, okay, what will happen? Whether I would be able to do it, like I would be able to, do justice to the preparation that I have done. And all these thoughts would be coming with that particular event, or it could be something that has happened in the past. Like,
Yeah, correct.
like, oh, I shouldn't have said something like this. Oh, what if, oh, why did she say this to me?
Yeah.
Oh, like this authority, what would this authority would be thinking about me, and all of that, right?
Yeah,
So
correct.
what we are doing when we are feeling these things are either we are living in the past, or we are living in the future,
Okay.
right? And where it is stemming from is the fear and the worry that we have about the future, or what
Okay.
has happened in the past,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
So when we are feeling these things, we are not in the present,
Yeah,
right? We are in the
correct.
future or in the past. This is the difference between feeling anxiousness and feeling anxiety disorder, right?
ओके सो जितना मैं समझ पा रही हूँ लाइक जो एंजाइटी होता है दैट्स उसकी इंटेंसिटी काफी ज्यादा होती है और वो कुछ पर्टिकुलर सिचुएशंस में होता है ऑन एंड ऑन अ कांस्टेंट बेसिस कि अगर ये सिचुएशन रिपीट हुई you will feel having that intense feeling of sweaty palms and breathing and tension a lot. Am I
So
right?
yeah, so there is not necessarily has to be an event associated with it,
Okay.
right? Like
Okay.
if I'm doing some work, I miss, like there might still be feelings of anxiousness, and these feelings of anxiousness which we like which are under the disorder spectrum is something that interferes with our daily functioning,
Okay.
right? That we are not able to do what we are supposed to do,
Okay.
right? So it's a very thin line, though it's a huge difference.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
So basically the anxiety needs to be dealt with proper therapy and medications and everything
Yes, and
because
yes, it also needs to be diagnosed.
it also need to be diagnosed
Yeah.
first of course. तो एंजाइटी का इंटेंसिटी लेवल बहुत ज्यादा होता है और वो हमारे रेगुलर काम में बहुत इफेक्ट करता है
Yeah.
एंड अगर हम बात करते हैं एंग्शियसनेस की सो इट्स अ फीलिंग जो आती है एंड जाती है डिपेंडिंग अपॉन द प्रेजेंट लाइक पास्ट एंड फ्यूचर इवेंट्स लाइक
Yeah.
एग्जाम्स आने वाले एग्जाम देते वक्त वी डो नॉट फील एंग्शियस बट एग्जाम देने से पहले वी फील एंग्शियस
Right.
एंड किसी ने कुछ बोल दिया उस समय तो ध्यान नहीं दिया बट आफ्टर दैट यार उसने ऐसा कैसे बोल दिया लाइक दिस वाज द एग्जांपल यू हैव गिवन एंड एंजाइटी इज मोस्टली एट द प्रेजेंट टाइम कि कुछ काम हो रहा है उस काम करते करते वी आर फीलिंग इंटेंसिटी एंड एवरीथिंग इज एम आई राइट ओके great so like how a person can help himself to understand like diagnose तो of course doctors करेंगे but how do he or she know कि उसको जाना है डॉक्टर के पास that this is troubling like what are the initial symptoms of that
right so so first thing, like, to before coming to which professional they should approach, I think it's fair only to know, to talk about what are the professionals available in this field, right? Because most of the time, one thing that I come across a lot is that people are really confused between who psychologists are and who psychiatrists are. And sometimes psychologists also there is counseling, there is clinical psychologist. So there's a lot of confusion, people who are not from this background.
I don't know. Even I don't know. Like I always get confused, like counseling, therapist, clinical psychologist. And like what are the difference? So please go ahead and tell the difference.
Right. So in psychologist, there are two types of psychologists, basically.
Okay.
Like mainly there are three, but when we talk about the daily functioning, we majorly come across two. One is counseling psychologist and second is clinical psychologist, right? And the third one that I was talking about was industrial psychologist, which deals with the corporate world and all those things, right? So if we talk about clinical and counseling psychologists, so counseling psychologists are the ones who deal with the daily problems like emotional regulation, stress management, something which is which we feel on a daily basis and not something which is related to like in a disordered spectrum. So what are the things that are available with a counseling psychologist are that they give therapy from different modalities that are available, right? So like if one comes with the stress management issues or having issues with certain emotion like anger management, right? So a counseling psychologist would be better able to start with, right? And then if you feel that and if the counseling psychologist feel that this is something that needs to be have a proper assessment diagnosis, then they refer to a clinical psychologist, right? So clinical psychologists are the ones who do assessment, psychometric assessments, and they also do diagnosis, right? And but they don't provide medications, right? But they do deal with the disordered cases, right? And then comes the psychiatrists, right? So clinical and counseling psychologists are usually through the process of graduation, then masters. And for to be a clinical psychologist, one has to do an MPhil. But a counseling psychologist can practice after their postgrad, right? Whereas psychiatrists are the ones who provide medication, right? They have done their MBBS and MD, and then they are, get licensed to practice as a psychiatrist. So psychiatrists usually are the only mental health professional who provide and prescribe medicines, right? So if and like medications along with therapy are a very good combination for individuals who are experiencing these on a disordered spectrum, right? And when I say disordered spectrum, it's a very sliding thing. Like you can feel something on a level that that you're not being able to function on a regular basis, right? So it requires medication. For how medication helps is that it regulates those internal neurotransmitters, hormones that are affecting the functioning of the body. So those medications helps in that way, right? And when all the hormones and all the chemicals in our body are in check, then therapy would work a lot better with individuals who are on disorder spectrum, right? But with the individuals who are experiencing this like just on a daily functioning normal level, like the intensity is low and it is something that they are managing, but they feel that something more could also be done to manage it or regulate it a lot better, right? So first thing is to begin with the counseling psychologist or a clinical psychologist per se, right? And then proceed with the psychiatrist. So but it could also be like psychiatrists also work along with clinical psychologists, right? So that both medication and therapy works together. Now coming to the question that you asked, I hope I was able to make the clear.
It was totally like understandable. मेरे लिए तो काफी चीजें clear हो गई because I was very confused before that. And is the therapist and the counselors are the same, or is there some difference?
Like usually they are they fall on the same platter,
Okay.
on the
Okay.
same platform, but therapists are usually the ones who have, specialized in a particular modality. Yeah, so particular therapy. So they are considered a psychotherapist. It's just the terms that we play with, but the work of these professionals are more or less the same, right? So now coming to the question that you asked, like when an individual needs to, feels that they need to consult somebody. I think it is a very personal decision that they need to take, because as professionals, we believe that individuals are the best judge or the best individuals to know what is happening in their life and to what extent they are being affected. So the moment they, and it does not have to be a particular reason or something big has to happen to consult a professional, right? Like therapy is also for daily lifestyle things or daily life skills that we can learn, right? So there are many tips and tricks that that can contribute in our daily functioning better, right?
Okay.
So for example, we all feel like it's our humanness to feel all emotions, right? Whether it is anger, sadness, fear, happiness, right, loneliness. So we are aware of very limited number of emotions, right? But there is an emotional wheel that we usually give out to clients to refer to that wheel to actually come up with what exactly they are feeling,
Yeah.
right? So there are like 34,000 emotion that exists, but we are
Oh God.
only, yeah,
Thirty-four thousand.
exactly, even I was surprised when I first read about it. So, and we are only aware of the handful ones, right? So coming to therapy actually gives insights into what are the things that are happening, how are the things that are affecting, and what are the things that we can learn new,
Yeah.
right? So it could be also a way of personal development, in a way that you learn new ways to regulate your life better,
Yeah.
right? So it does not have to be something major
Major.
happen to you that you need to consult a professional. The moment you feel that something needs to be added, or something you feel that, okay, this is a little block that I'm feeling in my life and I feel that a professional would be of better help, or if somebody from your friend circle that you feel that is telling you about it. So it's not that you need to believe what they're saying. It's just a way that you can explore and reflect on, is there something that I feel that needs to be worked upon, right?
Means like if you're feeling some stuffs, at least check करा लेते, like the way we have a regular body checkup, health checkup की शरीर
Yeah,
में कोई दिक्कत तो नहीं है, कि
right,
blood level down तो नहीं है, कहीं platelets कम तो नहीं है, तो it's a way you
right.
can go and check your mental status just like a full body physical health check.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I get it. That totally makes sense because sometimes we don't even realize क्योंकि वो physically तो इतना painful होता नहीं है, तो कभी ध्यान
Yeah,
रहा कभी ध्यान नहीं रहा, and we just go on with it. But
right,
yeah, we do not pay much attention to it. Yeah,
right.
yeah. Just please go go ahead. I have interrupted you.
No, I'm glad that you shared about it, because
Yeah.
it's so important that the first instinct that we have developed over years, whenever we are feeling some discomfort with emotions and thoughts, the very instinct is to get distracted.
Yeah.
Right, we just want to be around people, talk to somebody, just not feel or just not think about what we are experiencing.
Yeah. Correct.
I think being comfortable with the discomfort becomes so important to like or regulate those feelings in a much healthier way. And so I
Correct.
think that comfortness comes with somebody who you can be open and knows that they have safe space and non-judgmental space open for you there. So I think it's a really beautiful experience one can have with therapy.
And I have this personal experience that few months, I'll say 1.5 years back, I have this constant feeling of not anxious, I'll say, but something is there which is always bugging me. I cannot feel happy all the time. When I'm with my friend, when I'm talking to people, I'm happy. But when I'm sitting alone, it's like something is not okay and something. But after like it somehow went away because of some good people in my life. It somehow went away and I can feel there is something got emptied. कुछ तो खाली हो गया दिमाग से. वो एक वजन सा create हो जाता है mind में and वो हम realize नहीं करते. और जब वो चला जाता है then it feels lighter. It feels lighter and that need to be checked, and which is not like much being like लोगों बात ही नहीं करते. They don't even realize that. So, Ashima, my next question is this, like same. How do we check ourselves? अगर हमें check करना है खुद में कि हम daily हैं, जैसे हम कभी-कभी कुछ लोग चीजें check करते हैं अपने body में, like everything is fine or not, pain तो नहीं हो रहा है and everything, like body scanning हो गई. But how do we do our mental scanning? कि आज दिमाग में सब ठीक है कि नहीं? Am I feeling okay or not? Is this like how do we do that on regular basis?
Right. So one thing that is like you mentioned that we feel certain way without actually acknowledging what exactly you're feeling, right? And being around people and doing certain things sometimes makes it better that we don't realize how and what exactly we did, but we did get better. But we did started feeling better, right? One thing that like individuals can start with is scanning their body, right? What exactly, or is there some feeling or sensation that they're feeling in their body that is making them comfortable or discomfort even, right? So what is the purpose behind it is, so whenever we are experiencing something, we experiencing in thoughts, experience, emotions, physical sensation, and then behavior. It's not one way or the other. We can do, or we can feel or see anything. Any of the four can come first or later. It's not an order that I spoke in. So it could be that there is a thought, it led to certain emotion, which led to physical sensation or led to behavior. It could be otherwise as well, right? It could be certain behavior which triggered certain thoughts, and the cycle. So it's a very vice versa cycle of all four, right? So whenever you feel that there is some discomfort that you're feeling, right, in your body, so just start, because if I say that start beginning to acknowledge what your thoughts are, emotions are, it would be a lot difficult to begin with. And because it takes a lot of practice, because something which is new would take time to get comfortable with, right? So to begin with the sensations, because it's very much visible or very much felt, right? So where in your body are you feeling the physical sensations? It could be the tinglingness in your body, where in the body you're feeling that sensation. It could be a heartbeat or a tightness in the chest, or which are somewhat related to feeling anxious, or even the anxiety too, right? So like the heartbeat is raising fast and the breathing is irregular, right? So just focus and try to acknowledge these sensations in your body, right? And if you feel that okay, it's something which is uncomfortable with these sensations, okay, my heartbeat is working to the optimum rate that it needs to be it needs to run, and if my breathing pattern is regular, I'm feeling calm. Now comes the like you can come to the emotional part of it, right? You can acknowledge what is the emotion that I'm feeling right now, right? Is it calm? Is it something that is discomforting? What emotion is it that is discomfort, right? Is it anxiousness? Is it sadness? Is it fear? Try to acknowledge and give it a name. And then if possible, then try to acknowledge the associating thoughts with it, right? And what are the urges that in action that it is bringing? Like, for example, to make it clear, like how we talked about exam, right? So if there is an exam, right? So if I'm beginning with physical sensations, so it could be that my heart rate is my heart is beating fast, right? My breathing pattern is irregular, right? Or like my palms are beginning to sweat, right? So these are the physical sensations that I'm feeling in my body. It could be in the palms, it could be in the chest area, it could be that I'm having a headache too, right? Anything that you're feeling in your body. Then coming to emotion, what is the emotion that I'm feeling? Like on a surface level, if we are not referring to an emotional wheel with which has all the emotions in it, like of the emotions that we are aware of, I would say that okay, I'm feeling fearful, right? It is bringing anxiousness in me. This fear is bringing anxiousness in me, right? Now associating thought could be like it could be unique to individuals, but if we have to take one, it could be that okay, what if I fail? What if my exam did not go well tomorrow? And all these thoughts would be associating, and what would there would be urges too which would be unique to individuals. But if I'm in that situation and I'm feeling all these things, my urge could be that okay, I would make an excuse and skip the exam, or I would just go and face the fear and give the exam, right? Again, it would depend upon what intensity you're feeling that emotion, right? Whether you are comfortable experiencing it and going ahead and giving the exam, or you are experiencing it in a way that you are avoiding it, right? So it could be a little check that you can do with yourself uh, on a daily basis, on a interval time, whenever you feel you have time and you feel comfortable doing that. Give it a check in. You don't have to have that uncomfort feeling with you to start doing this exercise. Yeah. So if even if you're just having a normal day, having an amazingly beautiful day, you can do this check-in that time too, right? Okay, what are the sensations that are, that occur in my body when I'm feeling happy, right? What are these sensations? So what, like, why and how does it happen is when you acknowledge these sensations, these emotions, and these thoughts and behaviors, when you are feeling resourceful emotions that are comfort that you are comfortable with, you can easily bring change when you're feeling the discomfort ones, right? So for example, like the fear and the cycle that we mentioned related to the exam, if I need to work upon this, right? So I can work, like take any of the section that I'm comfortable with and start working on it. Like for example, thought, behavior, and sensations would be something that would be, visibly we can work on, right? Because emotions is something that still we have to, touch upon with these things only, right? So if we are aware that okay, when I'm calm, when I'm happy, I feel these sensations in my body, right? So when I'm fearful and anxious, I can, put that conscious effort into trying to bring my physical sensations and bring my breathing pattern to that level when I'm feeling happy or feeling calm, right? So it changes the whole physiology of my body,
Okay.
right? Or
Yeah. Yeah, please go ahead.
or it could be that we take a particular thought and start working on it. Okay, what if I fail? What will happen if I fail? Right? I can try again. Okay, what will happen if I skip the exam? What will not happen if I skip the exam? So what will not happen? I won't be able to clear the exam. I will have to sit again. And what will happen? I will get done with the exam.
Yeah.
Right? I will have the result and I will start working on it as whatever the result is, right? So I think this is the major bridge that we can develop. And I know it sounds a lot to do alone, and this is where the therapy comes in.
Yeah.
Right? A professional takes you along on this journey step by step. Right? So they break it down for you, that makes it easier for you. Right? So this is one thing that one can do to, have a check-in with themselves on a daily basis.
Yeah, I think it's a good thing कि हमें एक step पता है कि like what we have to check
Yeah.
because जब तक हमें कुछ पता ही नहीं, स्टेप्स पता होना इम्पोर्टेंट होता है, वरना हम रैंडमली कुछ भी कर रहे होते हैं यूट्यूब से देख के, एंड वी जस्ट डू नॉट नो व्हाट टू डू एग्जैक्टली, बिकॉज देयर इज प्लेंटी ऑफ ऑप्शंस अवेलेबल, बट वी डू नॉट नो द बेसिक स्टेप हाउ टू एटलीस्ट स्टार्ट विद. Great, that's really nice. So like, this is one thing. Okay, so we get to know कि कैसे मतलब कैसे हमें रिकॉग्नाइज करना, व्हाट स्टेप वी हैव टू फॉलो कि हाँ हमें ये इश्यूज है या जो भी है, फीलिंग whatever we are feeling now. When we get the feeling of anxiousness, when we are getting nervous, when we are getting hyper, like okay अब क्या होगा, and everything was there, so at that particular moment, what can a person will do? Like if I have to do a presentation in my office, and clients are huge, and I'm getting very nervous about it, like how I'm gonna do it, am I gonna mess with it or not, and it's just getting anxious and getting breathing high. Us time pe, what can a person do?
Right. So this is a very good question, and is a very much relevant in today's time, right? So like how I mentioned that, it's something that the solution somewhere lies in the symptoms itself. Right, like how I mentioned that there are certain physical sensations that we feel when we are feeling anxious, right? One was and this is something that is the what we can say, वो जान होती है ना, ये जो exercise है, this is a life of every emotion, every other emotion, discomfort emotion that we feel, most of the discomfort emotion. So it is the irregular breathing pattern. Right. The solution lies here. In there. Yeah. So solution lies in there. So like when we are breathing heavy, right, it's irregular, the pattern is irregular. So we can work on the pattern. Because what is that pattern giving a signal to our brain is that there is some threatful situation, there is some threat around us that we need to take care of. Right, and it is somewhere this threat situation is coming, has a root somewhere in our past, like how our ancestors used to live in chaos and has to be alert all the times, like so these are the certain imaginary tigers that we have developed for ourselves, right, which makes us anxious and fire that fight and flight response for us, right? And we feel that okay, this is something, it is threatful and I need to take care of it right now, and which is giving that signal is our irregular breathing pattern and heart rate, right? So if we start with our breathing pattern, how we can start is there are certain techniques that we can regulate our breathing pattern. So one is square breathing technique, right? So how does it work is that the window is a square shaped, right? So imagining like tracing the window, tracing each side of the square and inhaling, breathe, right? And then holding it for another trace. And then exhaling for the last trace, right? So it would be like 4 seconds, right? But imagining a window and then tracing each side of it, and then inhaling, holding, and exhaling gives that our mind is occupied in imagining as well as we are doing that, because sometimes when we are breathing, we are our thoughts are wandering around. It gives that advantage to that by imagining that window, right? And like one of the additions my mentor did to this exercise was drawing that square shape on your fist. Right. So drawing, like as you are inhaling, draw a square. Right. Hold it and draw another square. And then exhale it, draw the last square. So keep doing this exercise.
Inhale, draw, hold, draw, and exhale, then draw.
No, so draw it along with the.
Along with it. Like.
Along exhaling, along holding, and along. Exhaling.
Get it. Nice trick.
Yeah.
I get it. But I have felt sometimes ki I know I'm feeling anxious and I need to breathe. I'm angry and I need to breathe. But body resists that breathing a lot. कि
Yeah.
नहीं सांस लेनी ही नहीं है तुम्हें, do not take deep breaths, and it really become difficult at that particular time. But
Right.
I think I one need to work on it.
Yeah, I mean, yes, it's a very honest feedback for breathing pattern. I've got it a lot. But I think when we are beginning with something new, it takes a lot of conscious effort, right? And it might be that some breathing technique is not working for you, right? You might need a different breathing technique that would work for you or would make you feel like, okay, this is something joyous and I'm enjoying doing it, right? So it could be that too. And one thing that one we can build practice of breathing is doing it when we are not feeling anxious. Yeah, because it developed that practice for ourselves, that it becomes easier for the time when we are feeling it.
That makes sense because our body knows how to breathe at that time, how to take long breaths. तो जब हमें anxious feel हो रहा है, nervousness feel हो रहा है, that time it will be a bit easier to breathe.
Right.
Yeah. Great.
Yeah.
Great.
So, and one more thing, because I know breathing is not come easy for everybody. So it is also by engaging our senses that we can work with, right? So one of the very famous technique is the grounding technique.
Okay.
Right. It's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Okay.
Right. So we have 5 senses. Right. We have taste, gustatory. We have smell, olfactory. We have visuals, and then we have sound, auditory, and then we have touch, kinesthetic.
Okay.
Right. So all these senses. So we are taking information through our senses, right? We are seeing, we are listening, we are feeling, like how we can feel the cold. We are also smelling around the environment, and we are also tasting, like for now we are not eating something, so we are tasting saliva right now, right? So we are engaging these 5 senses on a regular basis, or every second these senses are getting engaged, right? So consciously putting those efforts into engaging these in a way that we give information to that, like we are thinking something, and our brain is such designed that we don't differentiate between what is real and what is imaginary. Yeah. Right. So even if we are thinking of certain event, we are feeling all those things. Yeah. We are having visuals, we are listening to it, we are also feeling those emotions. Even the smells, what would the smells be in the environment? So all of these things we are feeling. So when there is a trigger of anxiousness, right? So engaging our senses in a way that, depending upon the area or depending upon the surrounding we are at, we can engage it in a way like, if I'm in a presentation setup, right? I would be somewhere in the office, right? So I can see 5 things, right? It's 5 things that are available. So it could be like trees, windows, houses, vehicles, all of these things. Like list 5 things that one can see in that situation. 4 things they can hear, right? And 3 things they can, touch, or it could be, depending what is available that time, you can change the numbers for that particular sense, right? So 3 things that you can touch that time, or 2 things that you can smell, 1 thing that you can taste. Could be water, it could be a toffee that you might be carrying, anything, right? And doing that, it gives that signal to our brain that, okay, there is nothing to worry, it's all
all in my head, it's all inside.
No, so it's safe, I'm safe in this.
I'm safe. Okay.
Yeah, so this feeling gives the breathing pattern. Once we do the breathing pattern, we feel that, okay, we are safe, there is no threatful situation around me. By engaging our senses, like how I mentioned that when we are anxious, we are either living in the future or in the past.
Yeah, correct.
Right? So engaging our senses, we bring ourselves into the present. Right? That, okay, in this time, that moment I'm living, there is no stressor or there is no threat available. I'm safe, right? So these are the certain things that, like you mentioned, it would take a lot of efforts, conscious efforts, when we're being in the situation.
Correct.
Right? So developing these patterns when we are not feeling anxious would really come handy when we are feeling that, because a neural pathway would get developed.
Okay. Okay.
Right? So it would be easier to access these things.
So, Ashima, like when you're talking about threats, so the threats we're talking about actual physical life threats, because our brains start thinking is like,
No.
it's
Yeah.
like what kind of threats is like?
Yeah.
Okay.
So like this, like the anecdote that I shared, that about our ancestors,
Yes.
being always alert, and because there was a
Hmm.
threat of a real tiger coming in, and they would have
Hmm.
to always be on that vigilant, have to have vigilant eyes to all
Mhm.
protect themselves. So these are the imaginary tigers that possess as threat, like giving a
Okay.
presentation
Mhm.
and having those thoughts and feelings associated with it, that what if I mess up,
What if I
right?
mess up?
So
Yeah.
that is an imaginary tiger, or that is a
Okay.
threat that we are
Okay.
giving, or like, I know threat sounds a lot heavy word,
Mm.
but
Yeah, I
it's not.
get it now. It like what
Yeah,
how we mess up भाई उसके बाद boss तो ऐसे की तैसी कर देगा and everything like that.
exactly, all these
Marks कम
thoughts.
आए तो parents कत्ल कर देंगे कुछ भी हो सकता है.
Exactly.
These kinds of threats we mostly have. I get
Right.
these are the imaginative tigers we
Yeah,
pursue.
yeah, yeah. And like of course, there are, our body is such design that we are capable of fighting the real threats, right?
Yeah.
When we are in a situation, when we are uh like, God forbid, if there is a kidnapping situation happening, we
Hmm.
need to feel those emotions, because our fight and flight response needs to
Yeah.
get activated that time, so that
Yeah.
it gives our muscles and energy to start
Fight back.
fight back, or even to run to a safe place, or
Hmm.
so our body is designed in such a way to protect ourselves,
Hmm.
right? And
Hmm.
being and making us feel anxious, it is trying to protect ourselves, but
Okay.
that threat is imaginary, it is not a life
Okay.
threatening,
Okay,
right?
I
So
now get it. It makes a huge difference actually. We never thought it that way. Ki being anxious is also necessary to save ourselves in extreme and serious situations. But
exactly.
वो हम लोग on a regular basis create कर लेते हैं, but it is not there. It is not that life-threatening stuff and
Right,
not need of feeling anxious.
right.
Yeah, yeah, great. I mean, this is one. I think this statement will stays with me after the conversation because
Yeah,
nobody actually think it in a that sense or a that way.
yeah,
So, like, there's a difference between feeling anxiety and feeling anxious. Like, anxiety is a diagnosis. So, is it
yeah,
something like, it's just a random question. I really don't know about it.
yeah.
Ki feeling of anxious is a one thing. Is a
Hmm.
feeling of depression is a depressed is also a thing, or it is just a word people have created?
Yeah. So, yeah, so like depression is a very misused term these days.
Yes, correct.
Yeah. And depression, if I talk about, is one can only have after, like, of course, one can have it, but it will only be that the person has depression only after they are diagnosed, right? So, depression is, if I talk about, is the persistent sadness,
Okay.
right? So people, when we say that I'm feeling depressed, it could be that you're feeling sad,
Okay.
right? So when we say that I'm feeling depressed, so what depression stands for is that, again, like a diagnostic criteria from ICD-10 or DSM-5,
Mm.
like these are the diagnostic manuals that we refer to, right? So
Okay.
uh, for depression to get diagnosed, there
Mm.
needs to be certain symptoms that
Mm.
needs to that one needs to feel for about, let's say, for a week or two, right, on a regular basis, for it to be diagnosed as something depression, right? And depression is something which is a persistent sadness, feeling of sadness, right? So for example, the one who is feeling, is feeling depressed,
Mm.
uh, like the symptoms, certain symptoms would involve them feeling hopeless, worthless, um, even helpless in certain situations, and they would lose um, the feelings of joy they used to feel with certain activities. They would lose all the interest to pursue the hobbies they would really look forward to do. And then there would be a disturbed sleep cycle. There would be a, like, they would be sleeping either less or too much. And then there would be a disturbance in the appetite too, right? A loss of energy level. And all these symptoms we do feel on our, like, on different days depending upon the situation, right? But for it to be called depression, it needs to be consistently felt for at least a week of it.
Okay.
Right. And of course, not without a diagnosis, we cannot say that somebody has depression or somebody is depressed. Right. So sometimes when we casually say that I'm depressed, it is mostly that we are trying to convey that I'm feeling sad, or there could be other underlying emotions that could be playing the part, right?
Yeah.
But yes, depression is something that can only be diagnosed.
Yeah. So please, Ashima, tell me 5 those words which people should not accuse on a regular basis, like without being at least diagnosed.
Right. So one would be depression.
Yeah, of course.
And second one would be OCD. Obsessive compulsive disorder, because if somebody
people use it a lot,
very, very regularly, and it is just so sad to see, because like if somebody has that love for cleaning, even the person who has the love for cleaning would claim that, okay, I have OCD for this thing. But OCD is something which is very different from just cleanliness and all those things, right? Because it is the people who have it are struggling with it, right? Because they, on a daily basis, there is a certain thought that gets stuck to their mind, and they need to be constantly work upon that thought in a cycle, in a loop. And it is so it is such a challenge to have it, and they are working hard, and I really appreciate the courage and all the things that people are working towards it. But on a regular basis, misusing OCD as something for cleanliness is something that people use it a lot.
Yeah. So like if a person is like continuously cleaning his or her hands in every 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and उस cleaning की वजह से they are having bumps or rashes on their hands, so can we say that person has an OCD?
Could be, but not without a diagnosis.
Without a diagnosis. Yeah. Great.
Yeah.
And another third word?
Yeah. So another one that people usually use,
anxiety.
Writing. Anxiety. Yeah. So anxiety, people do use it, but I think people use it in a way that because they know the symptoms.
Yeah.
Right. So it is because the only major difference is that of the intensity and the duration and the persistence. So I think the symptoms are more or less the similar. It's just the intensity and the duration that they are experiencing.
Okay, I get it.
I think it's not that misused as the depression and OCD are. Right. So I think people are a lot aware about it.
Okay.
Than these two. Yeah. But yes, anxiety, we can keep it as our third name, as people misuse it or not much aware about the difference.
Like, I think if on a regular basis I'm feeling anxious about exam or job or presentation or anything, we should use mostly nervous or anxious. This word should be used, or like, tell me if I'm wrong. Please go ahead.
No, I think yes. Anxiousness is something which covers a lot of things, and nervousness and anxiousness are more or less similar. So there is hardly
much
any
of a
difference. Yeah. So I think, like you feel, because feelings are something which are personal, right? If I want to say that, okay, I'm feeling nervous doing it, so it gives like, okay, I think again it is depending upon the intensity with which people use. Anxiousness says that okay, I'm feeling anxious about it, right? A little extra than nervousness. So it is
Okay, get it.
interchangeably used, but it is more or less the
Great,
same.
great.
Yeah.
Okay. And fourth and fifth?
Okay, so fourth and fifth. I think uh, difference between okay, panic attacks.
Yeah, people use it.
People
Lot.
use it very casually that okay, I'm having a panic attack.
Even
I'm
people use
panicking about it.
anxiety attacks. I'm having anxiety attacks. I'm having
Yeah,
panic attacks. So
yeah,
yeah.
do use it, but yes, the number of misuse, or not the number, but the limit of misuse is a little lesser for panic and anxiety attacks, because people are again much more aware about how these feelings are. But yes, the difference between panic and anxiety attacks is still something that people are bridging the gap between, right? So I think yeah, these two would be another.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Means until and unless you are like totally confirmed by a counseling psychologist or
Yeah,
a therapist that you are having these symptoms, means you're having
right,
this particular emotion, yeah, this particular part of mental health and mental issue.
right,
So and then until that time you should not be using. जब तक नहीं पता exactly क्या हो
right,
रहा है, you should not use the word. It can be anything else also.
exactly.
हाँ, और अगर मोस्ट ऑफ द टाइम हमें जैसे किसी और को प्रॉब्लम है एंड वी आर फेसिंग लाइक कि हाँ इसको ये दिक्कत हो रही है, वी सेड लाइक तुमको तो ऐसा हो रहा है. और समटाइम्स अगर वो नहीं भी है, मैंने बोल दिया तो वो सोचने लग जाएंगे कि हाँ ये तो मेरे को हो रहा है.
Exactly.
I'm feeling you're looking depressed.
Yeah.
Am I actually depressed?
Yeah, it happens a lot.
Yeah.
And another term that I have not much come across, but yes, I've seen in a one or two reels on Instagram only, that people also misuse bipolar.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
and it needs diagnosis.
Okay,
But yes,
it's a
people,
big thing, I guess, because
yeah.
what I have, like, I've just seen it in movies, nothing else. I've never read it about. But bipolar is a disorder in which people have double personalities.
No, no, no.
No.
No, that is split personality, but now
Okay,
we
that's a
call it,
split. Ha, okay,
yeah, but
sorry.
now we call it
Then what's by?
dissociative disorder too. But
Yeah.
bipolar is a mood disorder.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So it has again different, all
I get
different
it.
involved together.
Yeah.
So yes, I've seen people using that it's bipolar, like listening to certain symptoms. Okay, it's bipolar. Like I'm not sure how and to what extent it is being used casually, but yes, I've heard that is like people do.
Mood swings are like the most common terms people use for women's that women have
Yeah.
lots of mood swings. And like, is it? I don't think so. It is true for everyone because definitely individuals they have other kind of personalities.
Right.
And like most of the time people talk about that women have mood swings during their periods, their home, and there are, but there's certain levels like it cannot be even visible. And but people like कभी खुशी कभी गम and कभी कुछ and that doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way.
Right.
You cannot generalize these kind of mood swings for everyone.
True. Absolutely. And it is sad, but yes, it is very much real that people
Yes,
do use it.
and even मेरे को है कि yes, if you are in pain you will be quite irritated, that's very natural. But कहना कि नहीं तुम्हारा मूड स्विंग हो रहा है, कभी भी तुम खुश हो जाओगी या कभी भी दुखी हो जाओगी या फिर गेट इरिटेटेड एनी टाइम. बट ये सुन के इवन आई हैव सीन इट इन रील्स अ लॉट एंड लाइक am I having mood swings? Then when I am on my periods I feel like I'm having mood swings and that doesn't work that way because that
Exactly.
उस रील ने या उस पर्टिकुलर वीडियो ने मेरे दिमाग में डाल दिया that if I'm on my periods I will be having mood swings, but that doesn't work.
Exactly, absolutely. Because why people say it that way is because of the amount of hormonal changes going around that time, right? And it absolutely differs from individual to individual.
Yeah.
there is no a certain amount of hormonal changes that needs to be, every woman needs to go to the same experience when they are on their period.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, people needs to start,
Stop
seeing
journalizing
everybody
for
different.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, correct. Oh God. Time's up. 1 hour is like almost
Oh
done and
my God.
we didn't realize it. Oh
Same.
God. It was a great conversation, Ashima. And I'm like, I'm feeling so sad. I have to end this conversation. But I want to ask one last question. It's not a question, basically. Agar aap chaho that one or two things, if you want people to know about this thing or any feeling or anything,
Hmm.
which people should have the awareness about, please
Yeah.
go ahead and tell. Then
Yeah.
after that, we'll wind up.
Okay. So, like one thing to begin with is have a check with yourself, right?
Yeah.
How you are feeling, what is it that your body and mind is trying to tell you.
Mm-hmm.
Because like how we check in on our friends,
Mm-hmm.
right, listen to them sharing their problems, I think give that chance to yourself too,
Yeah.
right? Have that sit with yourself, have that check in. What is it that your body is needing right now, right? And try to give it that.
Yeah.
If not give it, just have a, listen,
Conversation with
just have
yourself.
a conversation with yourself. It's really important.
Great.
Okay.
I guess I'm gonna take this particular piece of advice for me and start having a conversation with myself daily.
Yes, it's really important. The one best friend that we will have till life
Is what our own self.
is our own self. Yeah.
Yeah, correct. Thank you so much, Ashima. It was an amazing, amazing conversation. I hope we will record something again soon like
Yeah.
this.
Yeah. We
Hope to
would.
see you
And
again. Hope
thank
to
you.
see you again. Please come to Delhi. We'll definitely meet up.
Same. I will definitely next time. Whenever I'm in Delhi, we will be planning to meet.
Yeah, sure. Sure.
Thank you so much for
Okay.
having me today.
Thank you so much. Bye bye.
You. Bye bye.